Hey everyone. All right, so up for part 4. All right, so part 4, we're going to kind of take this thing to the next level, right? We're going to do finish up on this thing and kind of do a better test and see where we are, see if we can get it running properly, and then find out a little bit more about, well, what the heck is going on with this machine. So, you know, the mystery is always like, if you can get it running, right, does it run properly? Does the rest of the machine work? Does the training work? Is, you know, what else is going on with it, right? So when something's like this, when it's this far gone, it becomes all very, very questionable down the line. You could get to like the last step, guys, and you're like, uh-oh, and there is a caveat coming up. So again, just be patient for that. So we do have some more stuff going on with this machine. But yeah, let's get started on this, and stay tuned. If you go back and check the other parts out if you'd like, see how we're developing this project, because it is a lot of fun and it's a learning experience. It's not a how-to, really, although there's a lot of how-to in it. It's not like, you know, you can't search for this like how to completely restore this green Craftsman riding lawnmower thing. All right, let's get started. Now, a lot of times, guys, I show cleaning connections with that acid that I like, you know, wire brush or a bit of Scotch-Brite. But, you know, I'm not against power tools, guys. You know, I caution, and if you don't have a whiz wheel like this with the Scotch-Brite pad, right, well, then there's other ways. Yeah, just make short work. And on things like this, that's pretty cool, you know. All right, let me clean all these up. And I tested this one, the solenoid, and it's kind of working, but it's not. The contacts must be jammed. You could probably take it apart and fix it, and then re-rivet it back together again. It's probably just got gook in it. But I got another one. I know you guys are like, let's go in there and see. I don't know. Well, let's do this. Let's get it off here. That way, we got some room to work, hopefully, right? I don't know. I'm not good at this, right? So I don't know. You know, this is not, tires are not my specialty. But, you know, you got to learn somehow. All right, I'm going to try and work the tube in now, because there's a lot more room this way. It's just going to be a little harder to work, you know, the valve in place, but I'll get it. All right, fellas, I got a customer coming, so I got to keep an eye on things. So where are we? So this is like the next day. So spraying a little bit of the soapy, you know, water is like, that's your best bet. And then I'm just trying to pick up, because the tire is a little collapsed, you know, from sitting. But as you can see, this is a lot easier. So on the bigger tires, you probably don't have to like lift the bead, you know, the tire off the bead to do this. I've only done like a couple of tubes, and usually I just squirt. I have this really good stuff that I like to use, whose name, Flat Out, I think. It's like slime, but what's nice too is they sell different formulas. See, now it's in. All right, now I gotta remember, I'm not the tire guy, so. But yeah, I want to get the other formula, because there's a formula for bigger holes, and then there's a formula more for like dealing with like, there's like there's a cut in the bead over here. I can see it, and that would never seal, right? But the tire overall is decent. So I always forget how to do this, right? I know you got to spray everything up. You know, you watch me struggle, and you know, some of you guys are like, I know how to do that. You're doing it wrong. I'm good. I'm over here. Something like pressing down. Usually I use my knees. Yeah, you have to hold it. Oh, that's not working. It's almost there. I'm fighting it. It's fighting me. We're almost got to get it. Make sure I'm not pinching the tube. So you got to get it down into that recess. Just like in a car tire. Hold on, more lubricant, she said. Oh, Rich. Oh. hold it. I'm tired today. Here it goes. I got it. All right. Now, that's it. About 22. Isn't that nice? All right. So now we know, right? A decent tire. It's not in terrible shape. All right. I'm gonna go put this on. I'm gonna do the next one. I'll see you guys in a bit. I noticed this one's a little flat. So I was just mentioning earlier, fiber force technology built with Kevlar, flat out. Now this is the Sportsman formula, but they make one for like lawnmowers or whatever, and there is it's a different formula. Let's just put some of this slop in there. I don't have much. I got to get more, so I'm not going to put a lot in. But I found that, believe it or not, if you put some of this in, and then you put some of that other stuff in, like that other goop in the spray bottle can thing, and you mix the two together, I guess it simulates the other variant of this. All right, let me top this off. We'll put it down, and we're getting there. All right, fellas, everything is on except for the choke cable, because the choke cable is like rotted at the end. It was really rusted. And I took it apart as best I could and ran it on the wire wheel, but I got it soaking in some acid. It looks nice, but there's some kind of rust on the end. It will not pull. I tried it on the vise. Anyway, we'll get back to that. So we should have everything we need. Okay, all I need to do is spritz some primer in here. We'll manually deal with the choke, and yeah, let's try and run it, and then I can let it air out. You know, later on, because I got that acid stink in here now too. So maybe I'll leave it outside and let it soak overnight. All right, should just start right up. What you're seeing is, I don't think that's blow by, I think that's water, right? Because we had a lot of water in here. So we got to change that oil. Now, it's been running for quite a while. It's still not really hot yet, right? We need to get it really hot, but I think that's enough for tonight. And this oil is definitely milky. Yeah. And it's not fuzzy, but it's starting to. Here, let me show you. See the white? So we need to put more oil in it, maybe a little bit more like used oil, and get that out and get another flush in it. Yeah, this bolt came off, so I had a feeling that was going to happen. Fender bolt. And we got to get the choke hooked up. And also, some of this, the way you hear it running, right, it could be lean. So we might have to drill the carburetor, but I wouldn't do that yet. We want to test it. This thing gets a complete, like, a hose manifold up into the filter, and that can affect how these motors run. It can smooth out considerably, so we don't want to tune it until we put that assembly on, and then we'll take it outside and we'll try going through some of the gears and whatever and see if this thing moves. We'll do that tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. I'm getting tired now. We'll let it air out. So far, so good, guys. She's strong and she starts on her own. Now, let's just see real quick. See See it? You see it all shoot out? Starting up real good. Remember in the beginning it would barely even turn over, right? She's turning over nice. I definitely think we should pull this oil. Maybe I'll do that now. Maybe I'll let it drip tonight and then I'll gotta find something to stick in there. And that way it's done because it's nice and warm. I'll see you guys in a bit. Hey, the oil's not terrible. I think we got out all the water, so I think we could probably just put regular oil in it at this point. Hopefully you can see that. So soaking it again, and then I kind of knock it around a little bit, dip it in a bucket of clean water, knock it around a little bit, and then we have it here, and I can see it got pretty clean over there. Now I did heat this. I lubricated initially, it would not go. I tried pulling on it, it would not go. You don't want to break it. I had to remove all of the rust that was all around here with the wire wheel, got all that off. After the lubrication, I couldn't move it. Then I tried heating it. I said, all right, I cleaned it off with some thinner because I got oil on it. You can't have oil in the way of the acid because it won't work right. So clean it off and then just kind of cooked it. And I tried again, it wouldn't move. Didn't want to overcook it. But the final action of heating it with the flame removed any additional oils because that's what we really want to get out. And it should move a little bit more. I want to do this before I pack it in tonight because I want to make sure that I get this free, and I want to put the acid away because I don't want that out. I can still smell it. Use a little bit of, this time I use a little bit of muriatic acid and a bit of water because it was just too strong. Yeah, it's going. Or we might want to dunk it in there one more time. I don't know how far it needs to go. It's moving. Try and take it like all the way out. Yeah, I feel it starting to loosen up. I might want to give it a little rinse in the acid. Give it like 5 more minutes. I think that's it. Let's take a look. All right, so here's the setup, right? So this is the nut that goes on here, one of them. And this is the little nut that goes on the end, right? And then in the middle, I just put this here, this little turnbuckle thing, and a washer. By turning it, I'm actually trying to pull the cable through. And it's starting to go. I might just soak it in a little bit more acid. I'm going to take it off and take a peek. You know, just another few more minutes. And then I'll stabilize it. Yeah, see, it's still up in here. I'll show you. Just don't want any, I don't want any oils on it or anything. Okay, let's take this nut too. We'll shove this in the acid as well, since it needs to be cleaned up. And normally what I would do is something like this and just kind of snug it in the ice and try to, yeah, you still can't quite get it. Here it goes. I think I got it. Yeah, I got it all the way to the end. See? See? All right, I got some of my chain and cable lube on it. See? Looks good. Right, it's got some of that black goop on it. Try and get some of that off. And just keep, you know, lubricating it until we pull out some of that. I'll blow it. But I got it. What's nice about these is you can get that lube all down and in. And then we'll finish up with a bit of white lube on that, actual grease, instead of just chain and cable lube. Just blow it a little. But see, nice and clean. It makes it really clean. I'm gonna go put the acid away. It's perfect. That's what got jammed up in there. And you can also take a little bit of my, what I started off with was a little bit of my my specialty sauce, the transmission fluid with the gasoline. But yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's just picking up, you know, some of that bit of rust that's on the end. But you know, you're not going to get it all off. I could try my cable luber, and then tomorrow, and I'll just put it on this end, or maybe I'll just do it now and see if I can blow it through. I got some stuff that Mikey gave me. Yeah, see? Coming out. There you go. Yeah, that's good. That's clean. Oh, it made a mess. That's perfect. Oh, it stinks too. Yeah, that's good. We got that nice and clean. Choke is off. Let's pull the rod out. All right, see? All right, now let's put on the whole intake tube and air cleaner because we want to run it and do a real test. All right, guys, we're out here. So we got to give it a basic function test, which also includes I want to check voltage if we're charging first, right? So push this forward, this kind of, you lift it up, and then we'll go to choke. I'll get my feet away from everything. I have the deck up. This is choke. Yeah, I think we're okay. Right? And then we'll go a little bit fast. Okay. Well, we want to cool down. I got a plan for it. We need more fuel. All right, it's a little low on fuel. I want to pull definitely want to pull the blade. We got to get it up on its butt. So we got a couple of things to do. I'll tell you guys about it in a bit. All right, so here's the plug. Now, it's kind of hard to say because it hasn't run long enough. We actually need a good run. But it's chocolatey, and I'd say it's pretty close to being where it should be. It does sound like it's got a lean miss. But I don't know yet. I got to think about it. What do you think? Crazy, right? But it works for me. Okay, it's under tension. The table is up all the way. We can get to all of these areas here and lubricate. And all up in here. Essentially, guys, any place that is going to turn, spin, or move. Literally, see up in there, right? There's so many places. We're going to use a bit of chain wax and white grease and just flood it. get everything, but I want to get the blade off, right? So that I'm going to do first. We're going to clean up the blade. I took the battery out because it needs to be mounted properly, and I'm not sure how I want to do that, and it would have just fell and probably shorted out. And yeah, so let me get to all of this. So it's up there. It's not going anywhere. So I feel pretty comfortable. And like I said, I'm just going to go underneath there and grab that blade first. Then I'll do a little bit of lubrication. And then when we bring it back up, I'll finish the lubrication. This is under considerable tension. You know, it's not a lot, but it's under tension. It's not going anywhere. So let me go do that. All right. And I see some drippages, but I think that's from all that stuff that I spilled initially. Remember I was telling you that some of the stuff was going in places, maybe on top of that pulley back there. Everything looks pretty good. We got it fairly clean. We will take the tires off, or try, you know, the rims, and lubricate that. All right, next. All right, you can see it's in need. All right, let me get this cleaned up and we'll be back. Just gonna throw a quick coat of some fast dry black. All right. Just got a little bit of, I cleaned off a bit of solvent, a little gas or whatever. And we'll just let that dry for a little bit. Well, it looks good, right? Doesn't have to be great. I checked the balance, it's fine. Let me go slap this on. Now, up in here, I tried to get everything I could, and I used, I used a combination of white lithium and also my favorite liquid wrench chain and cable lube, which I don't want to use too much of, but and a bit of penetrating oil, because there's some areas in here where, like, you have friction surfaces. There's also areas where I needed a bit more penetration. Yeah. So I needed to kind of wet down and in, and that'll leave like a paraffin-y type wax. But then there are other areas where it's a little bit easier for me to just kind of get right at it and then hit it with the white lube. Now, one of the things I like to do when you have some of these tie rod ends and they have that rubber, if you just kind of carefully pick it up with a little screwdriver and then use some of the chain wax or the chain and cable lube, even some oil, right, and get it up in there. The white grease doesn't really go in and soak it. So, and then just don't damage that little boot and you should be all right. Hey guys, I don't know, what is it, the next day? I don't remember, right? I just lose track sometimes, I get so tired. I find it helpful every now and then to step back and take stock. I've done this a lot in my various careers, dealing with engineers that just aren't getting a design right and I've got to fix it or whatever. It's just helpful to sort of let your subconscious mind think. And I had said earlier that looking at the plug, I got to think about it. And part of thinking is in the forebrain, right? You're actually thinking about it, kind of sort of calculating. But the other part of thinking is in all of these subconscious layers where you just sort of walk away and you get a bright idea, and it's seemingly out of nowhere, but no. And the other way of doing it too is getting another brain involved, right? Bring a friend over, so mount this battery because it's what I have and I don't want to buy anything else. And then we have the electrical system sort of iron out, the lubrication. We got the tires are holding air, we got that solved, everything is moving. It pretty much will cut, it will drive, and we'll kind of go back to whatever else is on the list. And one of the other things is it misses a little bit. We're going to talk about that. The problem I found with some of these Tecumseh motors, even some of the way Briggs set up certain motors, the gas tank is a big gas tank, but it's not mounted high enough. And that tube, and we'll look at it again, that tube, by the way, I want to put an on-off, shut-off valve on it. It comes down, lays down low, and then has to turn up to the carburetor and then fill the bowl. And with the tank kind of being mounted in almost the same plane as the carburetor, that never works out really well. So as you get down to the bottom of the fuel tank, you're going to start to kind of suck a bit of air, and the motor can do this weird missing thing. So the easiest way to deal with that is to just keep the tank about halfway full or more. Pain in the ass as it sounds, considered it's a big tank, right? So some of that tank is like a ballast of fuel. But also we're going to drop the bowl, we're going to take a peek in there, maybe some crap settled, and we're gonna just drill out that main jet just a little bit, because when I drove it in to get it up on the table, I could smell it, like in here. Outside I couldn't really smell it, but when it pulled in here I could kind of smell it. And I got a really big nose, and it's been used many times for many things, and one of those things it's been used for is, well, smelling stuff. Yep, the old noggin is really good at that, and I have tuned it over the years to smell rich and lean. And boy, I'll tell you, when you're playing with like big camshafts on hot rod engines, well, you know what the smell of lean and rich and lean and rich, right? So we're going to do that, and I don't know, we're going to see from there, right? That's a pretty decent list. And then at some point I want to kind of clean it up, and maybe we'll put a clear coat on it, right? Just to protect everything and get it nice. And then I want to cut my lawn. So let's do these things next, and then we'll see what we turn up as we're doing these things, all right? So just to back up, we know the engine runs. It runs pretty well. It's not blowing smoke. Could there be some valve reversion? Could be a little bit. I'm not really seeing it. It's not backfiring. I'm not seeing stuff come out the back of the carburetor, you know, the front of the carburetor or the throat. I don't hear any weird noises. When I was driving it, that one sequence, it actually kind of smoothed out. And the one thing I did notice, though, just before I hit the stop button on this, is that the RPMs were a little low. And I had mentioned that when I, kind of disconnected the rod, I wasn't sure if I put the rod back in the right hole. We need to look at the governor and the throttle layout and see if we can get that RPM up. We'll just bring it from, I think it was like 2,600 or something, 2,650. We're going to bring it up to 3,000. It needs to run a little faster. It's a little slow. I could just feel the blade speed. You kind of can tell. Now, yes, these motors can run higher, but no, we're just going to take it to 3,000. Let's get started. I'll see you guys in a bit.